So let's kind of break down what virtual wholesaling real estate is versus regular wholesaling real estate and kind of a breakdown of the entire process. So the number one thing you need to understand about, let's kind of break down wholesaling real estate, right? We find somebody who wants to sell their property, right?
Mm-hmm.
We put the property under contract. And then once we lock it up and we get it to the title company, and then once we bring it out here to a title company, we find a cash buyer who's going to buy that contract from us, basically for a finder's fee. So if I lock it up for $100K, I find a cash buyer for $110,000, right? And then I can sell it to them, basically do an assignment of contract for a $10,000 finder's fee, make around $10,000 on the transaction. And that's pretty simple. Usually in regular wholesaling real estate, we have to go in person for this.
Mm-hmm.
But in virtual wholesaling real estate, what's the difference between the two? You just don't go in person.
That's it.
You got your phone right here. You literally lock it up over the phone. It's not that complicated. It's just doing the same thing that you say in person, but you do over the phone. You have an e-signing service, so the contract is just going to be on the computer, right? Same contract we have, we give to you for free at freewholesaling.com.
Yeah.
And it is the entire same process. So many people really complicate it. And the only thing you really have to change is sometimes your verbiage. You might have maybe an extra objection or two. But really, guys, at freewholesaling.com, we sort of break down how to overcome those objections for the best success possible in wholesaling real estate and in virtual wholesaling real estate. So in virtual wholesaling houses, right, there's going to be different types of marketing strategies you have to do, right? You still got to do your cold calling. You can do direct mail, right? Your SMS text blasting still. They're like, the marketing strategies are pretty much the same because when you're doing your marketing, except reverse trying for dollars or door knocking, you're really not going in person to find these motivated sellers, right?
Correct.
You're not. So the most important thing you got to understand about virtual wholesaling, the only thing that's different is getting the deal locked up. That's pretty much it. The walkthrough with the buyer, yes, you might get a boots on the ground. You might have to have someone take a picture of the house. But like once you get over those things, a lot of people look at virtual wholesaling sometimes as a downside versus regular wholesaling real estate. And there's downsides, but there's also benefits. I think one of the biggest benefits of virtual wholesaling real estate is you can actually go out here and get more transactions done than the average wholesaler because you don't have to go in person. You don't have to go all this fluff around everything, right? It's actually really, really simple. So what you have to understand in virtual wholesaling real estate is once you can get over some of the objections a lot of people have, it's all fine. And someone's like, Zach, well, are you locking up deals right now? No. So the two parts of virtual wholesaling real estate is actually going in person and basically having someone go in person for you, like what we do. Like we have people physically going on appointments today, and we're getting paid on those deals because they're our employees. And then we have other virtual wholesaling markets, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, Michigan, like those type of markets too, where we're virtually wholesaling right there. And that works really, really well too. The truth is you can virtually wholesale anywhere with that computer. The only thing you have to get over is that objection getting started. So like, what are some objections, right? Like, I'd rather you come over and actually look at the house. Well, me and my cash partner, we would love to go buy the house. What we do first is we actually get an agreement on the price first, and then we go out here, take pictures, look at the house, and go from there. Pretty like just that's the way we do it. It's a lot more faster and efficient. I don't want to waste your time or my time.
Yeah. And
yeah,
I think so us doing it like in another country, which is new to me. So me and him are learning as we do it. The priority is one, you gotta have some sort of cell phone service, really easy to research. And internet is something that you got to at least have access to. Yeah. And I gotta be honest with you, like the entire time I've been here, I've mostly used my cell phone. Cell phones have come so much further advanced with the apps and everything. It makes it super convenient. I would never thought I could do this without a laptop computer, but me being a fisherman on a boat, we were actually striped marlin fishing the other day, and I could sit there and send text and OK deals and look at spreadsheets all from the touch of my phone. Honestly, if you told me this 20 years ago, I would never believe you guys. The reason we do wholesaling, and I always get back down to why I started this 20 years ago, is because I wanted freedom. And although my journey's different than a lot of others, is now that my kids are on their own and they're out on their own, is now I have like ridiculous freedom. So now I want to travel all over the world and do this. And honestly, wholesaling, I can't think of a better opportunity if you truly want freedom. So Listen, I know a lot of you guys love to travel. Some of you are just starting out. Like I was raising kids for a long time, and that was my priority. So other than like doing a cruise or something like family oriented, that's it. So when I told my son, I go, listen, I want to go on this exotic fishing trip. It's going to be crazy. We kind of looked at each other like, well, how are we going to run our business from like another country? And I'm lucky enough to know some other people. We did some research, and we've had a few glitches along the way. But other than a different time zone, it's really the only thing that's changed. Like we just don't have a fancy studio here, but honestly, you guys got to understand content is the most important thing you can consume. Listen, if a fancy screen or something draws you in, that's great, but it always comes down to the content. If you guys pick wholesaling, I started out to get freedom. The money came along with it, and now I can do whatever I want. You can literally live on the road and easily do this lifestyle. I know other people will do it. I like to travel, but I like being at home too.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is wholesaling gives you the freedom to do what you want. Remember, it gives you the lifestyle you want, and that's why we all start out. So you got to put in the work the first few years to get there. Guys, I didn't do this my first year. I'm on year 20. I could have done this 10 years ago. I just chose not to. And now I'm doing it. And then when I told him I was going, he's like, oh, what better way than go on like a trip with your family and do this? Now, the girls decided to stay behind, but I'm okay with it. But like we get up at 5, we fish, and we were checking emails and doing everything. And then we come back and do our live streams. Yeah. So I have a good time, man. Like we have so many pictures and stuff. Like we just haven't had time to kind of put it all together.
About like 3 hours of video. We got to put it all together, but
I mean, so I've seen in one trip, we got to see sea lions, whales,
sea lions jumping on the boat.
Yeah,
got that on video.
Tons of porpoises, blue marlin, white marlin, dolphin, you name it. We had a giant marlin just free jumping like straight up behind the boat, not even hooked. I mean, it's absolutely insane.
And around like 4 or 5 deals. So
yeah,
pretty cool in one video, right? So guys, we're working on that. We're getting it all together.
I mean, me and him sat on the boat with this like mouth open. Like he's doing some emails and texts. I go, Jack, you got to get over here. Look at this.
It's crazy.
And remember, I love wholesaling, but like if you can mix family and doing something you're really passionate about and create an opportunity like wholesaling to create it, that's what it's about. So the reason I show you, I know, like, listen, you don't have to be a fisherman to be a wholesaler. It's my passion. So take whatever your passion is. Like it's not fishing, replace it. If you love traveling, wholesaling can give you the avenue to do it. If whatever, if you love NASCAR racing, if you love climbing mountains, whatever you want to do, that's what we're just trying to show you what you can do. But more importantly is we're here to teach you how to get started. I still remember the day I started. He remembers the day he started. And that's why we're here live streaming with you to bring it home with you. So nobody else that I know of offers free wholesaling, teaching you from start to finish how to do it, get you to your first 100 grand. And what better way? We also do one-on-one, and we don't charge you guys a dime. The reason the other gurus don't want to do it is because then they can't sell you a course if they do the one-on-one, because that's their primary benefit of offering a course. Wouldn't you agree?
It's the truth. So guys, we're not selling you the dream more or less, but we're just showing you what the dream is. The honest truth is the amount of wholesaling work I'm doing currently is the same amount I'd be doing at home.
Yeah. 2
or 3 hours a day. I kind of get it done in the morning. I do my other sort of work outside of there. I might do a live stream, but like really what I did today or yesterday is the same thing. I check on the team. I see how many leads come in, how many appointments are going out, how many deals we locked up, how many we didn't, right? Checking the marketing, how that's going. Like I'm doing the same thing. So where we are at our business, it's all scaled out where I can just kind of check things on the computer like I do it at home, right? But like that's the way we do it. Now, a way for a lot of people starting out, it's kind of the way that I did when I went to college, right? And I had a virtually wholesale from my dorm room where I had to do the cold calling by myself. I had to lock up the deals by myself. I had to deal with the sellers myself. And it was I think a mindset hurdle, but I think it's a mindset hurdle for a lot of people. A lot of people have barriers in their life, really for everything. And the honest truth is those barriers are all mental. And once you break through those barriers that, hey, I can't wholesale. I'm not smart enough to wholesale. I'm not a good talker to wholesale. I'm not the little self-limiting beliefs that we have in our head. Once we can conquer that, it's true. David Goggins says this. I love David Goggins, but like we all have a governor in our head that tells us to stop at like 60%. And we can pretty much push the 90, 95. Like physically, mentally, it's probably 50, right? Oh, I can't talk to a seller. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I can't lift this weight. I can't do that. I can't. Guys, I mean, if you truly believe you can't wholesale virtually, it's your problem. Like if you mentally, I always tell people it's like the grasshopper. I think it's the grasshopper analogy or the roach analogy where like if you have a grasshopper, right? You might have to go behind me so it's not blocking the light.
Okay.
But like it's like a grasshopper where I think it's a grasshopper. It's one of these analogies where like they have a grasshopper in a bowl, right? And he has breathing tubes and he gets food and stuff. And the grasshopper, they took him from the wild where he's jumping 10 feet up in the air. Oh, ticks. This is ticks. It's a weird analogy. It's ticks, but they can jump. Ticks can jump like 2 feet high.
Fleas.
Fleas. All right, fleas.
Yeah, fleas.
Fleas can jump like 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 feet, right? But once you put that wild flea in a jar and it can only go up 4 inches, it remembers what it's like going 10 feet, so it can still do that. But once they have kids and those fleas only see that Papa flea can only go up 4 inches, he can only go up 4 inches. And then you take that barrier away like 2 generations past, it can't go over 4 inches. And it's not because it physically can't do it. Everyone around their environment has told them that that's the only thing they can do. This is like you getting into wholesaling real estate. Everyone around you's only made a certain amount of money per year, maybe $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. You can't make that. You can't make more than $100,000, Zach. You can't make more than 100. Like there's self-limiting beliefs financially for yourself. There's also self-limiting beliefs around yourself. If you see people that only can wholesale virtually, physically, or you can't wholesale virtually, that's too difficult. Oh, that's terrible. You can't cold call. That's too hard. SMS text blasting, that sucks, right? You're going to have these self-limiting beliefs for yourself. Once you break open that belief in your head that you can just wholesale virtually, it changes everything. And the best part about virtual wholesaling is the risk is practically zero. If you have an internet connection and a computer, it's your time, right? Like why don't you just try it, right? And the one belief I had was always like, oh, virtual wholesaling, I get less margins. It's true. You get less margins per deal in virtual wholesaling real estate, but you get more deals, and it opens things up when you're scaling. So we were making a good amount of money, like what, 2, 3 or 4 deals per month in our physical wholesaling business when I was like 18, 19 years old. There's still good deals, right? But like there's only a certain amount of deals you can do in a market. And we were able to push doing like 10, 15 in our local market, but that's like pushing it hard. Like that's hard. Like that's pushing it to the stinking limit. But here's the thing. We're able to get to 20 deals a month. We sometimes get 30 deals a month just from doing virtual wholesaling because you're not stuck at one market where there's only 200,000 people in it, right? We got to have 350 more million people in our potential market because we went virtual. And once you get the systems in place, when I started virtual wholesaling, I was able to do way more deals. I was able to talk to more sellers. I was able to do more deals because a lot of people believe it's like, oh, it's going to suck up more time. If you have VAs cold calling for you and you have all these leads and all you can do is just lock up deals, that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to spend 8 hours a day locking up deals, not cold calling. You're going to make more money. It really comes down to the end of the day, destroying those self-limiting beliefs and doing more deals. Virtual wholesaling can change your life. And really, like if you live in New York City, San Francisco, San Diego sometimes, right? Chicago, Miami, you can virtually wholesale. Boston.
Right? I mean, we got people doing virtual wholesaling in like very far away countries, right in your own backyard in the United States.
Wow.
And I mean, they have severe challenges with internet, major time differences, 12 to 14 hours. And guys, like they're doing it, and they have language barrier issues, and they have heavy accents, and so a lot of times it's mostly like what goes on your head. So let me give you an example. Like my family, I was brought in. I love them to death, everything to do it, but listen, I'm older, guys, so my parents only had a certain set of skill sets to say, hey, listen, go get a good job, go to college. If you could make back then, if you could make $35,000, $40,000 a year, you were like a rock star. And I always kind of question and wonder it. And I think I was just really curious. I'm like, well, why stop there? So I remember when I picked up my first Tony Robbins book, probably when I was 17, 18, trying to figure it out. And I got so excited when I read the book. And the minute I tried to apply one of the things, I literally got my legs chopped out. I mean, everybody attacked me. You're crazy. Guys, this is back in the early 80s. And I put it to bed. And I left it probably for like 5 years. I read it again. And then I adapted one more principle. And then like another 5 years went through. And it just took me a long time to grasp the concept because I always thought there was a ceiling limit. And once I realized so I went and got a regular job, as you guys know, and I did that for 10, 12 years. And at 33, I just said, listen, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to, honestly, it's not going to work. So I said, what do I have to lose? I can go get these jobs anytime I want. Whatever, I got to climb the corporate ladder again. And I took a risk. And that risk is why I'm sitting here today. And I remember doing my first deal, handing me a $15,000 check. I'm like, man, that's like 4 months worth of work for me. And then I go, okay, well, that was a fluke. I used to say that. I'm like, well, let me do it again. And I did it again. And I picked up some $30,000, $40,000 checks. And I remember telling my wife, now I did this while I had a job. So I had challenges. I had little people. I had mortgages. I had a wife depending on me. And she supported me through the whole thing. And I just busted through it. And then once I got good at wholesaling, I had to learn how to manage money, how to grow it, which was my next big challenge. And now here we are talking to you in Mexico while we are wholesaling, doing our operation and doing something I get three passions, my family first, okay, fishing, and then wholesaling. And if you can put them all three together, it won't happen overnight. Yeah. I made him do the 2 to 3 year grind, just like I had to do. And honestly, if you think you're going to skip that journey by buying a course and they're going to magically get you $100,000 a month, you're not. You have to go through the journey. The problem with wholesaling is, and I'm just going to tell you the truth on it is, it's been oversold as this like super gimmicky, easy. I don't know why you don't do it. You can go to Mexico and flip properties. 20 years, guys, 20 years. He put in 3 years, a lot of it while he was in high school and college. I just got him to start earlier. And when he has little ones, they'll be probably starting in diapers, wholesaling houses.
If they can say words, they can wholesale. That's my kid of the kids.
I never, and so many people say, I didn't push wholesaling on him. I just showed him the lifestyle. So if you're a parent out there and you're like raising kids, is your kids watch what you do much more than what you say.
I agree.
Okay, you cannot like lie to your kids. You can lie to your family, but like your kids, if you live with them and that's what you do, they see what you do. And if you say one thing and do another, they're gonna like, I don't understand. So I'm the farthest thing from a perfect parent, but like he saw what I did like financially and some of the stuff I could do, and that's what we're trying to do with virtual wholesaling with you.
That's the point. So guys, virtual wholesaling, I will tell you, it's super sexy. It's the easiest thing to make.
It's easy to sell.
It's easy to sell, guys. I mean, I could have a thumbnail of me just like, oh yeah, the money's coming in, woo, right? Like, but it's like anything. Wholesaling, unfortunately, I'm going to say this is not going to be the most popular statement, but wholesaling is a legitimate business. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a legitimate business.
Which requires work.
Every legitimate business requires work.
Yeah, and you have to dedicate it to it. And we always go through this. You got to set a belief. You got to have a hard, set, fast conviction, and then you got to take the massive action and keep it going. And if you can get through that 2-year barrier, honestly, it gets so easy.
It's not even 2-year barrier.
So like, if you guys ever like, I go skiing, like once every 2 or 3 years, and I think it's really cool. I enjoy it. I'm terrible at it, but I go downhill when I go fast. He goes straight downhill. But I wanted to learn snowboarding. I remember, so I only had a week's vacation, and I'm going to admit it. I quit after the first day. My butt hurt so bad because I didn't have time to get through those. The guy told me, he goes, you're going to have to go through 2 days of hard pain, maybe 3. And I made a decision. I did it. I did it for about 2 hours. And I was in like, guys, it just takes time. It's a skill set. Wholesaling is the exact same thing. And I don't know why people don't tell you this up front. I'm not here to scare you. You can do it. It's not going to hurt your butt. It might hurt your feelings. You're going to get rejected. But if you can relate to that, any snowboarders here, I give you guys all the props in the world. It is painful. My butt hurt for a week after that trip.
Once you do it a while, it's fine. So here's the thing. I don't agree too much about the 2 years. Yeah. So 2 years he's correct about the 2 years, but that's 2 years where you're consistently doing 10, 20, 30, 40
Like completely flowing where you can go on the road.
You can go on the road whenever you want, technically.
You can. I just took longer. So back then, like virtual wholesaling wasn't like we didn't understand how to do it, or like we didn't push the limits.
So about 5-6 months, I was 100K in. Like I made 100K when I graduated high school. The truth is, if you're starting out with $0, virtual wholesaling can be a way to go. You know, a lot of people like running around doing stuff everywhere, but it's going to take you around 2 years, more or less, to get at a place where you're consistently guaranteed you make money. Like if you want to make a 500K this year, it's probably going to take you 2 years to get to that level.
Yeah.
Year one, that's where you got to put in the real grind. And honestly, for most people, 100K, consistently getting 10K a month, getting to that point, probably going to take you a year to really get that knowledge up where you can consistently quit your job, stuff like that. I've seen people make 100K in 2 months and really get at it really fast, right? I've seen people, 100K takes them 3 years, right? It's all different for everybody, but like if you want to be at a point where you're like guaranteed getting all this money coming in, it's going to probably take a year or two just of a grind. But this is it. So that's an upsetting thing for a lot of people to understand. But I think one exciting part too is, yes, wholesaling is a legit business,
yes,
which means it requires work. But let's look at every other business. Let's say you're 18 years old right now and you have no money at all. What are your options as an entrepreneur? Right, number one, you can be a realtor. Wait, how much does a realtor be cost if you're 18? What, $2,000? A grand, $2,000? Like what?
It just depends on like what level. Like it's
for most 18-year-olds, what, $2,000? You'd say?
Well,
education, licensing, insurance.
It's NAR that kills you. So
I would say about $1,000 to $2,000 to become a realtor, right?
Probably closer to 3 on average.
Yeah. So 18 years old. I don't have the money for that, so shoot, that's not good. College, I can go into debt 4 years unless you get a full ride or something like that. Can I do drop shipping? Wait. I have to spend $1,000 to $2,000 in Facebook ads for drop shipping. Okay, what about Amazon FBA? Wait, I have to buy a $2,000 course. I have to put all this investment. That's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. I'm just thinking Forex. Oh wait, I have to invest $2,000 in the Forex just to make it work, right? Like. You're looking at all these side hustles, these legitimate businesses to start as an 18-year-old online, all from your computer. It's like all adding up, like this is going to all cost me $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. And at most as a realtor, like I don't know many teenage realtors. There's very few that are making $1 million a year.
Yeah. And
this might just be biased, but I know a ton. The percentage of wholesalers that are making $1 million that are 18 is way higher if you look at the saturation versus realtors making $1 million a year at 18 years old. Yeah. Easily, right? And I might get upset from a lot of people watching this, but it's absolutely true. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, we're so very clear. We're not realtors. I do business with realtors. I'm not here to talk about training to be a realtor. And honestly, this is my opinion. You can take it for what you want. Anyone who tells you you got to be a licensed realtor to be a legitimate wholesaler, I guarantee you they have something to sell you, because I've been doing this 20 years, no license. Honestly, you got to pick and choose what you want to do. So many people are like, well, I can do both. I can create opportunity. No, you're actually going to create problems for yourself. You're going to create liabilities. And most people wind up doing the dual thing. They always wind up on the realtor side because it's safe, right? Well, no skill. Like I got a little bit of money in the game. I do it. I'll take my commission.
It seems safe, but it's not safe.
It's not safe.
I was talking to somebody yesterday on this. It's like, oh, I should be a realtor because, you know, there's so much competition with wholesalers and I can just kind of talk to sellers. I'm like, all right, let's break down your marketing as a realtor. Let's really break it down. Okay. You can either cold call for sale by owners, Zillow ads, or like realtor ads, right? Like, but there's like 3 marketing, besides networking, 3 or 4 marketing strategies. I want everyone to look up the percentages of citizens in your county that are realtors. It is 1% to 2% of everyone's a realtor, right? And they're like, I'm like, but it's the competition. I'm like, okay, let's say you door knock on an old lady's house, right? Or someone's house and you say I want to be a realtor. It sounds easy, like, oh, I'm not buying their house. I'm just being a realtor. You know, I'm the great guy. What do you do when you call that person? Every single person I know says this. Ready?
Uh-huh.
I can help you sell your house. Oh, no, I can't. I'm sorry. You know, my cousin Vinny's a realtor. My aunt, my abuela, she's a realtor. My uncle, my brother, my best friend. If you look at a human being in the United States of America, they are one friend group away from knowing a realtor, and they're going to go with their friend versus you anytime. Most people choose a realtor not because how good they are, because they know them. And the second reason, outside of knowing them, it's going to be one of the top 2 producers in the county, right? Yeah. They either want the best of the best or a family friend or something like that, which leaves you, Joe Schmo realtor, pretty much
no man's land,
out of luck, right? Yeah. The competition for realtors is 100% worse.
If you think it's bad with wholesalers.
So you think, oh my gosh, someone's dealing with 2 other wholesalers on my deal. You're competing against the cousin, the brother, the top producer, like all these. Like, come on, guys.
Guess what is the best strategy for realtors to get listings? What would you say it is? The fastest way.
Being related to them.
Being related. The second one is cold calling. That's what the real diehards do.
Yeah, but they only can really cold call Zillow for sale owners.
Correct.
They really can't cold call anything else.
They're very limited in what they can call. And the problem is you don't differentiate yourself. Where I'm going with this is some people, well, I'll do a realtor because it's going to help out.
It's worse.
And 20 years experience, take it for it. This is my opinion. When you go get your realtor's license, unless it's an absolute requirement for your state, which I'm not going to get into that one, which is a very, very small percentage, it handicaps you because it's your plan B, and you're always going to want, when they tell you like burn the bridge, like sometimes burn the bridge. I'm not telling you if you have a job and leave it. We've already told you what the plan is to get into wholesaling. I did it. You can easily duplicate it. But when you go get the realtor's license, like just in case, by the time you pay the fees, all the energy you got to do, it's going to be a huge distraction if you truly want to be a successful wholesaler. So if you want to earn $1 million and you want to work towards it, you're going to have to do it in wholesaling, or you're going to have to do it in realtor world. And in my opinion, realtor world's even so much harder.
It's so much harder. And the cool part is, let me do one last thing about the realtor and get into virtual wholesaling, because I think everyone's pretty much convinced. This is for my realtor people watching this. I want you to look at 10 realtors that make $100,000 a year. Net. Because once they make 100K in commissions is different than net, because there's a ton of marketing, right? You almost have to cut 20-30% off.
You'll never hear that from them.
You never hear it. So really they have to make 120, 130 in commissions, right?
More than that.
So here's the thing. 100K. Let's break down 100K. If I'm going to make 100K as a realtor, I'm probably going to have to make 150K in commissions, correct?
Minimum.
That is going to be $5 million in real estate. I have to sell $5 million in real estate. If my average house, so the average house in the United States is, let's say, 400,000. That's a nice market, right? That means I have to sell 12.5 houses. That's a lot of houses. Let's do 250, right? At 5 million, let's do 250, because that's probably more your speed. You have to sell probably 20 houses. That is basically 1-2 a month.
And realtors have work. They have a completely different role too.
Well, yeah.
They got to do a lot of babysitting with clients, like just because people aren't used to it. They got to break a lot of bad news to them, and they got to drag them to the closing table, and then they got to rip that commission right out of there, and they go, "Hey, that's it." And then honestly, a lot of that stuff, it's all negotiable right to the table.
Well, let's talk about these 12.5 deals, right? The average time it spends to do a listing, meeting with all these people, doing the marketing, all this stuff, I would say the average realtor that makes 100K a year net is working 50 to 60 hours a week. I'm going to look at 100 realtors in my market that make 100K. And they're probably have to, because our market's a little lower than the average, it's probably going to be 20 listings a month. 20 listings a year. At 20 listings a year, you're working 50, 60 hours and you're running with your head chopped off, right? If I look at the average person making 100K, they're working wholesale, like work. Let's talk about work. When you really look at it, they're at 20 to 30, right? It's a lot less stressful. And did I also mention that they didn't have to put in 40, 50K in marketing, all for free? I think that's something very, very important. And those realtors, every realtor I know that makes that 100K, they've been a realtor for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Like they had to get to that point.
Yeah, they worked it. It's easy. Guys, the bottom line is there's no shortcut. Wholesaling is an amazing opportunity. And like, don't fret about the year or two to get going. Huh? But if you get one check for 20, 30 grand, it'll change a lot of your lives like forever. And don't fret, because if it takes you a few more months to get the next one, we're talking about like consistent cash flow. Yeah. Like you can almost depend on it. It takes time to build the systems and the operations for it and have the people you work with. So many people are overselling wholesaling, saying you've got to scale. Honestly, you cannot skip getting started in wholesaling and understand the basics like we teach you, government list, putting in the work. So many people want to skip that and go straight into scaling. It's a huge mistake, and it's got a ridiculous failure rate. So that's why when we looked at doing this whole project with our wholesaling is, let's try to introduce as many people as humanly possible to wholesaling, show them the options, get them up to their first 100 grand. Then it's up to you what decision you want to make. We just want to connect with you, maybe do a few deals with you, and get you to the promised land. I don't think you should have to pay a ridiculous fee to learn wholesaling, a basic skill set, because it's all out there. You just got to get from someone you can trust, who actually does the business. And what better way from someone who actually is not here to sell you a course?
That's the truth. So in virtual wholesaling real estate, so I think we kind of cut the realtor thing. And then everyone says, oh, I know a realtor that makes $500,000 a year. Let's look at the wholesaler that makes $500,000 a year. How much are those two people working? How much are they spending? I actually know a realtor. We both know this person. They probably net $300K, $400K a year in like commissions. They're spending how much on Zillow ads? Roughly, I don't want to reveal them, but like how?
It's big numbers.
What's roughly? It's at least 20, right?
15 to 25.
They're netting they're netting like 400 or 500K, but they're putting 20, 30K a month.
They're busy. And guys, those are like hard commitments. They sign for 1, 2, 3 years out.
They have transaction coordinators. Like
it's insane. So they got to do just 12 to 15 houses just to even break even.
I know.
Minimum. And they got to do some of the higher priced homes. And listen, so the point of this is, if you figure out, if you do wholesaling local, you do it virtually, in my opinion, you're better off. You're always going to connect with realtors one way or the other. My point of this is, learn how to do business with realtors as opposed to becoming a realtor. Listen, if you want to be a realtor and that's your passion, knock yourself out. I just can't help you doing that. So when you ask, how do I get more listings? I would go find a really successful real estate agent, and I would figure out how to work with them, because I'm not going to teach you how to get listings. If you're getting listings as a wholesaler and that's your primary income, then you're going down the real estate agent journey, and you just got to be honest with yourself. I don't do that. To me, I think it's just too much work. Like if you do wholesaling right and you put in the time, the payoff is so tremendous. So it's like snowboarding or snow skiing or water skiing. You got to put in a little time and just understand the fundamentals of it. And then if you want to go slalom, and then you get really good, you can do barefoot water skiing, which sounds really painful. I've done it before when I was younger.
I'm fine.
The wipeouts are really bad. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's completely. So virtual wholesaling real estate beats any realtor at the end of the day. That's my honest opinion.